Hello programmers, welcome to a video on using Python Interpreter. And Python Interpreter is going to be used in the command prompt here on my Windows device, and this is the folder directory that I'm currently in. To access the Python Interpreter in a command prompt or a terminal, you can simply type in the word Python and it will load Python, and it will tell you the version number that you are working with. So now that we're in Python, we have this new line waiting for some sort of information to be fed into the interpreter. And this lesson is going to show you a few different ways to store data as a variable, whether it's a string or an integer, and get that information printed back out. Python Interpreter is a great way to learn about how Python syntax works. So if I type A into Python Interpreter, it prints back out a message here that says A is not defined. A is a container which needs some sort of information, and currently the interpreter has no information about what A means. So in order to make a variable, in order to make an assignment so that our object container A has a value, we use an equal sign. So for example, A equals 5. Now, because we pushed enter and didn't get an error, that is a good thing. That tells us we're doing something correct. To get the value back out of the variable we stored in the memory, we can simply just type the variable now, A, and it will give us the value that was stored, which is 5. If we were to make a new variable, perhaps this one is B, and set B to be 4, and push enter, now we have two values, one for A, one for B. And I can use the Python interpreter in an operator for addition, A plus B, and push enter, and I will get the value, of course, of 9. 5 plus 4 is 9. So the great thing about making variables is they can be mostly any name that you want them to be. In this case, let's say A and B are actually short for bigger words, such as apples and bananas. So instead of having A equals a number, maybe I want it to be A for apples. Apples equals, this time we'll say apples equals 7, and bananas equals 3. And I can tell the interpreter, okay, let's get what apples plus bananas is. And now I have 10. So when working through the Python interpreter, sometimes it's nice to, once you're moving on in your thoughts, to push enter a bunch of times and give yourself some room where you don't have to look at the previous information. Now, let's say I want to have a message and I want to store that message as a variable, and the message is our variable name. And when we want to use letters to make words like a sentence, it's called a string. And when we make our variable and give it a name and set it to something with an assignment, an equal sign, for a string it's quotation marks. So we can say something like your total fruit is, and in a string, spaces matter. Any space that you have inside of the quotation marks will print out as a space in the message. So message equals your total fruit is, and we can push enter, and we are good to go. Now if I type message, the interpreter will compile this, and it will give us back the value, the data that's stored to message, and it will say your total fruit is blank. Now, if we wanted to print out a message that says your total fruit is apples plus bananas, there's a couple of things that we have to do inside of the interpreter to make that possible. But we will get to that in the next video. So hope you enjoyed this quick lesson on Python Interpreter, and good luck in your programming.